Kids, do you love Chinpokomon?
Yes.
Well, now you can buy your very own. I've got to buy Chinpokomon. I've got to buy it. I've got to buy it.
I don't know about you, but I freaking love Chinpokomon. Not only was it a great South Park episode, which was actually nominated for an Emmy, but I also just really liked the Chinpokomon themselves. And I know this would go against the inherent point of the episode, which was making fun of the rampant consumerism of Pokemon. But I would totally buy the crap out of Chinpokomon toys.
Shut up and take my money.
Gotta buy them all. Bye bye bye. Especially if they made the little 2-inch figures, like those old Tommy figures that Pokemon used to make. If they made those, I would totally have to get the entire collection. I also would buy plushies if they made them. I probably wouldn't get them all, but look at this. This is something someone's selling on Etsy, and it looks so cool. Another thing on Etsy is custom Chinpokomon cards. Now come on, that's just awesome. Beyond the original episode, Chinpokomon really only became background items to fill out scenes in South Park, like in kids' rooms or being on backpacks. The only other time they got spotlight was during the Stick of Truth game, where you would go around collecting Chinpokomon. Sadly though, in the sequel game The Fractured Butthole, they weren't collectibles anymore. They were only seen during Wendy's ultimate ability, which was a joke on the Pokemon Go craze. Then they got referenced in the South Park Snow Day game, but who the hell played that garbage? And speaking of video games, you know there's an entire community of people who make fan-made Pokemon games? While some of these games are trying to be serious, with people trying to make better games than what Pokemon's made recently, but other people are just trying to make fun, lighthearted, goofy games. And it's for those creators I question, why the heck has nobody made a Chinpokomon game? What's wrong with you? Apply yourself. But I do understand the problem with trying to make a Chinpokomon game, since there are only 30 Chinpokomon shown by South Park. Even though there are some fan-made Chinpokomon, that I really had to question if they were actually Chinpokomon. My favorite fan-made one is this Toaster Witch. I really don't know why, I just like it. But when it comes to actual Chinpokomon, we have 30 of them, which made me think it would be fun to judge them and put them into a list from worst to best. And of course, I'm only including Chinpokomon we've actually seen. Like in the original episode, they say that Rooster transforms into something called Roostallion. But since we've never seen Roostallion, I'm not adding it to this list. I'm guessing it would look like some sort of metal hippogriff, which would be pretty freaking cool. But since we don't see it, it won't be here. So that means we have 30 Chinpokomon to go through. But before we get to the list, I want to give some criteria of how I'm ranking them. Naturally, I'll be ranking them on design and concept, but I'll also be ranking them on the likelihood I would add them to a team, if I was playing a Chinpokomon game. So with that being said, let's get to the list. Number 30 and the worst Chinpokomon is Terry Bovine. While most of the design actually looks pretty good, like I really like the intense look on his face. The thing that really brings it down are those udders. They're just eyesores, and make the creature hard to look at. It's clearly a parody of Miltank, which also has some nasty ass udders. Especially when Pokemon went to 3D, and they started jiggling. Ugh, no. But just because those udders are a joke, doesn't mean it isn't nasty. And I would choose to have any other Chinpokomon on my team than Terry Bovine. Number 29 is Ferrosnarf. This is one of 2 Pokemon based on Jolteon. I guess when South Park was researching Pokemon, they saw an episode with Jolteon in it. The thing I really don't like about Ferrosnarf is that pink body. When it's mixed with that wild yellow hair, it looks like it has no fur. So it's like it's one of those hairless cats. Ugh. Because of the shade of pink they used, part of me wondered if it didn't have skin. Like we were only seeing its muscles or something. Also, what's up with this fur? Does it have a tutu on? Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Number 28 is Snakat. The biggest problem with this one, and this might be weird to say, but it's the fact that the cat head looks too realistic for South Park. It just looks like Mr. Kitty's head. And if you look at any other Chinpokomon, nothing else has the normal South Park eyes like this cat's head does. Other than that, I'm not too big on the concept. I mean, a snake eating a cat is unique, I guess. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some weird yokai like it. But when I compare it to other Chinpokomon, I'm just not that impressed. Number 27 is Jerk Bitoad. I understand that this one's design is supposed to be 8-bit, and Chinpokomon are handily dumb creatures. But this one looks like I could make it, and that's not saying much. I mean, it's a frog with ears put on it. You know what was also 8-bit? All the original Pokemon. Again, it's not like Chinpokomon's aiming for quality, but this one is really low effort compared to all the other ones. There's a fan design out there that makes it look better, but it's missing the pixelization aspect of this Chinpokomon. It has bit in his name. In the end, I'm just not a fan. Number 26 is Pudosaurus Rex. This is the other one based on Jolteon. And it's one of the Chinpokomon that just blatantly look like a parody of Pokemon. I mean, it's just a pink knockoff of Jolteon. I will say that it being full pink does lessen the issue I had with Ferrosnarf. It doesn't necessarily look like a furless or even skinless creature, but I'm still not the biggest fan of it. It's not unique enough to stand on its own. It's just a cheap knockoff. Number 25 is Fetus Swami. Do I really need to explain why this one's low on the list? It's a magical fetus. Yeah, the concept is pretty nasty. Even though the design isn't all that bad, they could have made this look way grosser. I do like how it's waving his arms like he's doing magic. This one is a parody of Reuniclus, which I could understand South Park looking at it and thinking, is this supposed to be a fetus Pokemon? It isn't, just so you know, but I can understand it. And a fetus Chinpokomon does feel like it belongs with this group, but I'm not putting this one on my team. Number 24 is Cosmonute. There's nothing really wrong with this design, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people like it more than I do. My biggest problem with it is it's just a lizard in a little spaceman suit. I mean, if I saw a real lizard in a little spaceman suit, I would think it's adorable. And I'm not saying this one isn't cute, but most Chinpokomon look like monsters of some sort, even if they do resemble real-world animals. But this is just a lizard. Again, it is cute, but if I'm gonna play a Chinpokomon game, I'm not putting this one on my team. Number 23 is Furry Cat. This one has a very similar issue to Pudosaurus Rex, where it looks like just a blatant knockoff of Meowth. But I do think its design is better than the other one, even if it looks pretty ugly, especially with that pot belly. Ew. This Chinpokomon is also the most deranged looking out of all of them. I mean, just look at those crazy eyes. It looks like a mangy street cat you do not want to be anywhere near. And I actually kind of like that about it. You don't want to mess with this crazy bastard. He will mess your day up. So I do like that about it, but it's still pretty ugly looking. I mean, I might put it on my team, just for the narrative I built up for it in my own head. Number 22 is a Count-a-Fish. This one has the exact same problem as Cosmonute. It's not really a unique monster, it's just a fish, with a little briefcase, and a scar and hat. I mean, it's funny, but again, it's just a fish. But I do think it has more personality than Cosmonute, and this is one of the ones that someone made a card for, making it look like it has money-based powers, which would actually be pretty cool, and that raises it a bit in my eyes. Number 21 is Beaversaurus. I think this one is actually a pretty good design. It's a solid looking dinosaur monster, but the thing holding it back is it's a pretty dated reference. I mean, Justin Bieber stopped having the haircut, what, 15 years ago? Heck, it was a dated reference 10 years ago when it was introduced in the Stick of Truth. Also, the head is blatantly just Dino. I mean, look at these two. So I'm assuming South Park saw Dino and said, that head looks like Justin Bieber. And then Beaversaurus was born. So yeah, I like the design, but it's just dated. Number 20 is Mousetick. And this is a great take on Pikachu clones. I would have guessed that South Park saw Pokemon like Plusle and Minun, and questioned, don't they already have freaking Pikachu? What the hell is this crap? So they made a joke out of it with Mousetick. But Mousetick actually outdates any Pikachu clone. So that makes it the original Pikachu clone. Now some would argue that Meryl was the OG Pikachu clone, but the Chinpokomon episode came out a year before Gold and Silver did in America, and weeks before it came out in Japan. So nope, not Meryl. Mousetick is the OG. And I kinda do like the design more than most Pikachu clones. But who has Pikachu clones on their team? I mean, really. The only exception is Mimikyu, and it's quite different than most Pikachu clones. It's a horrifying monster that's jealous of Pikachu. It's not some cutesy little squirrel. But I'm getting sidetracked. So Mousetick wouldn't be one of my first choices for a team. Maybe in a couple playthroughs in, but that's about it. Number 19 is Gunrilla. This is a cool concept. A gorilla with guns everywhere? Hell yeah! But that face... No. Just no. The first thing wrong with it is it looks way too human for my liking. The second thing is, I don't think a creature completely decked out in guns should have a happy-go-lucky look on his face. I guess it could work if it's a completely psychotic Chinpokomon, which, much like Furry Cat, would raise it in my eyes. There is fan art that makes it look better, giving it more of a monkey face with a more stern look to it. So this one isn't awful, but it could be better. Number 18 is Velociraptor. I just think this one is funny. It's a rapping dinosaur? What the hell is that? Someone could argue that it's similar to a Cosmonewt and a Counterfish, as it's just something with a job. But it's already a dinosaur. It's not a regular animal. I mean, maybe if dinosaurs were still walking around, they would have an argument. But if dinosaurs were still walking around, this world just got a lot more horrifying. And a lot cooler at the same time. But back to Velociraptor. Overall, it's just funny. But that only gets us so high on this list. Number 17 is Gophermon. First of all, this thing has a naming scheme of a Digimon, not a Pokemon. Geez, South Park, if you're gonna make fun of something, get it right. Loserant is now over. Besides that, it's a pretty cool design. I really like the spikes on his tail. That's definitely my favorite part of this design. To me, I think this looks like a first stage evolution, maybe even a starter Chinpokomon. It probably wouldn't be my first choice of starter, but I would eventually take it in another playthrough. Number 16 is Roidrat. Yeah, I like this one. A big beefy rat that looks like it's gonna mess you up. That's a pretty cool one. I'm not the biggest fan of the bright orange Speedos, but I mean, I guess it's better than hanging dong, which I wouldn't be surprised if South Park did. So I guess thanks for the Speedos. And this isn't just a rat. The steroids have clearly turned this thing into a freaking monster. If you see a rat like this in real life, run! Dear God, run for your life. Number 15 is Fat Doctyl. It's a pretty cute design. It clearly has inspirations from Pikachu, sharing the same color scheme, and of course that tail. The only thing that gets me is I think this thing should have wings. It has Doctyl in its name, like Pterodactyl, so why doesn't it have wings? I mean, it is called Fat Doctyl, so maybe it's just so fat that you can't see its wings. I actually think it would be hilarious if it turned around and you see these little wings on its back, but it can't fly because it's too fat. And if it evolves, it can get bigger, more pronounced wings, but becomes even fatter and still can't fly. That would be hilarious. Yeah, that's my headcanon now for Fat Doctyl. And it does raise it in my eyes. Number 14 is Beetlebot. This is actually a really awesome looking design, but straight up, it just looks like a Pokemon. If you told me to give Steel-type regional variant to Ladybug, and showed me this picture, I'd just believe you. But I do think it would be one of the best regional variants I would have ever seen. However, that also makes me think it doesn't fit too well in with being a Chinpokomon. But it does look really cool, so it gets a decent spot on this list. Number 13 is Rabbit Tech. And hell yeah, this looks freaking awesome. I love the classic robot look it has to it. And having the light bulbs be its bunny ears was really good design. It's a really good looking Chinpokomon, and I don't really have anything negative to say about it. The only reason it's not higher is because at this point in the list, I just prefer other Chinpokomon instead of it. But yeah, this is a solid one. Number 12 is Flowerpotamus, and I think this one is really cute. I love the flower on its head, which shows it's not just a hippo in a pot. The hippo is the stem of the flower, or at least that's how I perceive it to be. While the design is rather simple, sometimes a simple design is all you need. I think this Chinpokomon turned out great. I'm guessing if this was a follower companion, I think it would move by hopping around, like it was in a sack race, and I just love that. So yeah, I'm a fan of Flowerpotamus. Number 11 is Broccoli. I think if they tried to make a Pokemon based on broccoli, it would not turn out as good as Broccoli did. The South Park wiki says it resembles Pansage and Rosalia, which I guess I can see it a little, but it is very different, and I think it stands on its own for sure. It also might be a vampire too, so that's completely different. To me, this is another one I think might be a starter Pokemon, and I would definitely consider it for my first choice of starter, much more likely than Gophermon. Number 10 is Choo Choo Nezumi. I just love how they went full out monster with this one, and I would say it's probably one of the most iconic Chinpokomons. The South Park wiki says it resembles Charizard, which seriously? Who the hell is going to mistake this for Charizard? Yeah, they share the same color scheme, I guess, but that's about it. If I thought it looked like any Pokemon, I would have said Raichu. Heck, it even has Chew in its name. And some might even say that might be a stretch. But it's closer to Raichu than Charizard. Come on. But in the end, Choo Choo Nezumi is a solid Chinpokomon, and fully deserves to be in the top 10. Number 9 is Vampirko. I don't know whose idea it was to mix a vampire with a piggy, but it was a great idea. This vampire piggy is awesome, and it is so adorable looking. They say it's based on Clefairy, which yeah, I can definitely see a resemblance to it. But damn, if Clefairy ever looked this cool, I might have actually used it in any of my Pokemon playthroughs. Vampirko is a solid choice for multiple of my Chinpokomon playthrough teams. Heck yeah! Number 8 is Monkey. This one is similar to Furry Cat and Pudosaurus Rex, where you can definitely see which Pokemon it parodies, obviously being Nidoking. But this one knocks it out of the park, and even with it being a clear parody, this is an awesome design. And it is unique in its own way, mainly the fact that Nidoking isn't a freaking monkey. This one is definitely one of the big brutes of the Chinpokomon world, and I would love to have it on my team. Number 7 is Pterodactyl. This is definitely one of the coolest designs on this list. Much like Fat Doctyl, it seems to have elements of a pterodactyl. But, unlike Fat Doctyl, I don't think this one should have wings. Mostly because it seems to be inspired by Charmeleon. And just like how Charmeleon turns into Charizard, I would think Pterodactyl turns into something with wings too. And if it didn't, then I would have a problem with it. Because of the whole Charmeleon thing, I also think this is probably a middle evolution, leading me to assume that this entire evolution line would be cool looking. So yeah, Pterodactyl is great. Number 6 is Roostor. This is a freaking badass looking Chinpokomon, and definitely the best design of the metal ones. Yeah, this one would totally make it onto my team, especially if it did actually transform into some sort of metal hippogriff. That would be so freaking cool. It's also one of the ones that got a fan card, and tell me this doesn't look awesome. This is easily one of the best Chinpokomon. Number 5 is Stigmata. And admittedly, this might just be my Wartortle bias, of why it's so high on my list. For the longest time, Wartortle was my favorite Pokemon. And since Stigmata is based off Wartortle, it's obviously one of the best looking Chinpokomon. But you know, this entire list is biased, since it's all just my opinion anyway. So yeah, Stigmata makes it into the top 5. Come on, it's a cool looking turtle. What else do you want? And if you disagree, you're wrong. Utterly, utterly wrong. Number 4 is Penguin. Now some may question why I put this so high, after I put other Chinpokomon lower because they were just animals. And this is just a bird. First of all, it's not just a bird, it's a penguin. Have some respect. Also, it's the best looking Chinpokomon of the ones that are just animals. Plus it's Cartman's favorite Chinpokomon. And that does give it extra points.
Damn it, there's no more Penguin! Kenny, Penguin is my favorite. That's the last one. Let me have it. Yeah. Yeah, Kenny, let me Yeah. Yeah, give me Penguin.
Speaking of that, someone made a Cartman-based Chinpokomon card, and they still didn't give him Penguin. That is just great. They say Penguin looks similar to Piplup, but Penguin was made years before Piplup, which can only mean one thing. Pokemon ripped off Chinpokomon. You heard it here first, folks. Pokemon is the rip-off. Or, they're just both based off penguins. But yeah, Penguin is awesome. And if you disagree, you're a bad person and should work on that. Number 3 is Donkeytron. Hell yeah, Donkeytron is freaking cool. Looking at it and its stance, I would have guessed it was some sort of kick-ass fighting type. But in the Chinpokomon episode, it shoots lasers out of its hoof. That's not saying it couldn't do both, which would be pretty sweet. The South Park wiki says Donkeytron looks similar to Scraggy, leading me to question, what the hell are you people smoking? Why? Because they both have their teeth showing? Yeah, these two look nothing alike. And Donkeytron is a freaking decade older than Scraggy, so it can't be based off it. This comparison is just grasping at straws. It's almost as bad as Carmen's mom referring to Monkey as Donkeytron.
Come on, Eric, let's try to battle your rooster with my Donkeytron.
No, that's okay, man.
Seriously, Leanne? They look nothing alike. One is a freaking monkey and the other is a donkey. What's wrong with you? But yeah, I love Donkeytron, and would go out of my way to find Donkeytron for my Chinpokomon team. And now we get to number 2, which is not just the greatest selling Chinpokomon of all time, but has outsold all of Pokemon as a whole, to the point the majority of the world has this Chinpokomon. And it allows me to say, I do, indeed, own a Chinpokomon. Of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, Shoo. Yes, this is the dumbest idea for a creature, and I freaking love it. Seriously, who doesn't love Shoo? I mean, it's Shoo! Come on, people, Shoo! I think it was made because of Pokemon like Voltorb and Execute, which is just a ball and some eggs being Pokemon. Yeah, Gen 1 is perfect, isn't it? Speaking of which, anyone that gives Flamingo gripe about being just a flamingo, yeah, you guys remember Steel exists, right? So don't act like Gen 1 is untouchable. But back to Shoo. Like I said, it is a pretty dumb concept, but I can't help to think this was freaking great. I would also love it if it had an evolution, and of course, it should be Boot. Maybe even have a regional form called Sandal. Yeah, that would be great. In the end, when people think of Chinpokomon, you know Shoo is one of the ones that come to mind. And it fully deserves second place. And now we get to number 1. And the best Chinpokomon is Lambtron. Come on, it had to be Lambtron. There's a reason it's the mascot of Chinpokomon. And it's more than because it's just based off Pikachu. Okay, it's most likely a mascot just because it's based off Pikachu. But I mean, look at it. It mixes cool and cute so well, with that awesome gun arm and that derpy little smile. Heck, when I heard Power World was Pokemon with guns, I immediately thought of Lambtron. I'm not sure how many other people did, but I did. Lambtron is always the go-to Chinpokomon, and fully deserves the number 1 spot. And that is all South Park Chinpokomon, ranked from worst to best. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, why not check out some other videos we made? If you really like this video and want to support us, consider becoming a patron, like these great people. You also get to see our videos before they're posted to YouTube. With that being said, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.